Hi everyone, welcome back to the stream. It is September 19th, 2024. Hope you're having a great day. We've been sitting in this 1v1 lobby for a little bit of time. No luck. Long Bob, are you coming to play? I don't want to play on CCR. But what I was thinking is, considering the fact we cannot find a 1v1 match, we're going to look at some replays. What is this? Click that refresh button, scroll down. Oh, Andy versus Autopilot, huh? I think I might cast some games. Bye. Okay, yeah, let's go into it. So they just played in the Bar Pro League qualifier, Andy and Autopilot, that is. And these are two of my favorite players, so I thought it would be cool to kind of, slowly go through the matches, maybe look at their opens, see how they chose to play these maps, and maybe we can learn something from it. So sit back, relax, enjoy. If you want to do me a favor, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. About half of you aren't subscribed, so, just take a look. If you're not, hit the button. Doesn't take too long, and it helps me out a lot, and that way you get, notified if I release any new videos, so we can stay together as friends, Let me turn this music down just a hair. Alright, so
Battle started.
let me introduce the map. This is Tundra, for those of you who haven't played on it. It's mostly a small team games map, but I chose to include it in this season's BPL. The starting locations are just like top versus bottom. Interesting, like higher ground plateau, kind of mirrored on the other side. And then you go into this low ground valley with a bunch of mechs spread out. And there's some energy reclaim. I believe resbots actually do give 60 E per second on this map, unlike some other maps. And it looks like we have Andy in the bottom corner playing as the blue. Autopilot playing as the red Cortex Commanders. So let me start this. Take a look. I'm gonna take a look at Autopilot's build. Maybe you'll restart this and go through Andy's open or in the first couple of minutes. So look at Jesus, 58, 57 OS. So really evenly balanced here. So 14 wind speed map, a bit of a wind risk. Wind's trending up right now, so Autopilot can get away with these two wind turbines and into third mechs, right? So I'm gonna take a sip of coffee. Been enjoying doing these early morning streams for y'all. Just kind of works out in my schedule where I can, do this for about an hour, Tuesdays and Thursdays. So we might keep this up. Also, for those of you who missed it, we did a Bar Academy replay review with Slato? Still don't know how to say that name. Sorry, buddy. And that is also something I might pick up or continue doing here, week to week. So maybe I'll try and develop a bit of a streaming schedule for y'all so you can catch me when I do that. So pretty standard open here. 3 mechs, 4 wind turbines into bot lab. I'm going to pause here, look at the build order. So Resbot Con, 2 grunts, 2 cons. Interesting. And then 10-1, 10-1. 10 grunts, 1 con. Okay. Interesting. I actually like the addition of that 3rd con after the 2 grunts. You don't see that a lot, but... So here's something Autopilot does, is he's just making these wind turbines in the build range of his commander. And he will not move until he has to. So let's see if he keeps up that trend that we've noticed from his games before. First Resbot comes out. Let me turn on my chat box in case any of y'all stop by, want to say hi. Yeah, so here we go. Get that juicy 60 E per second going. Is it? Yeah, it's still 60. Okay. And we just almost got up to accessing energy. Not quite. 12.5. Okay, maybe a little bit. And then for those of you who don't know, you need about 200 E per second and a full E bar to start a con turret and assist it with your commander without stalling. So looks like with the first con is going to come down here, grab this radar position, which is pretty fantastic, not going to lie. Really good coverage there. And notice how it also protects His radar range extends to here, and that's going to protect him expanding down into this area. So pretty smart little radar location there based off of your expansion pattern. And then in classic pro level style, no pun intended, he's just going to come down here, naked expanded these 4 mexes, cap this 5th mex, add an LLT, another like little slightly more forward radar, and then continue expanding. Nice LLT position there too. Hopefully that's not too dark for y'all to see. So first 2 grunts are out. That means 2 cons are going to be on their way. And did we adjust this build queue? 2, 10, 1. Okay. So it looks like we're going to do 10 grunts, another con, 10 grunts, second resbot, and then just kind of moved into infinite grunt production. So stall our excess, just a little bit more energy, not the end of the world. As long as you're under 10%, it's not really egregious. So yeah, second con comes out. Not quite naked expanding as greedily as greedy here, but I like that radar position there in the middle, actually, between those 2 3 mech spots. And here's the third con. It's going to come out. Wind did end up dropping, so this is just an adjustment to this solar collector is just an adjustment to the wind speed. I'm sure he didn't want to have to add that. And look at this great positioning here. Let me pause this and take a look. So we have the 3 cons expanding, right? And there's 3 grunts in front of them, just spotting for anything, right? This one's moving to the left. This one's moving along this right side of the map. That'll give him some early warning on any units that are going to be coming his way. No concert just yet, and I kind of like that. You know, you get these cons out onto the map moving more quickly. Actually, it looks like this con is going to come back. Maybe this one ends up adding the con turret. Maybe I spoke too soon. But we're almost out of starting metal, and that's kind of what you want. So 3 minutes into the game. Ooh, looks like just barely missed this grunt. Is this con going to go down? I think it is. Randy's pretty good at controlling this. Yeah. Gets that flanking damage. Con goes down. And hey, just in time, the second resbot is on its way. Looks like he actually inserted that into the queue. And this grunt has some veterancy on it, so you can't engage that. I wouldn't be surprised if Andy kind of double backed and stepped on top of that grunt. But yeah, see, you got a couple more grunts here moving on the radar of our man Autopilot. So that's going to let him get a couple of units in position, but perhaps not before this mech goes down. So still adding on energy here. Haven't moved the commander just yet from when he originally moved. Looks like this grunt's getting caught on the other side of the map. Let me just pause here, take a look at the game state. We've dedicated a lot of grunts to the right side of the map. Perhaps Autopilot knows Andy's propensity to start here, and he just thinks like, maybe this is the weakest side, right? I wouldn't expect the commander to be there just yet. The question is, though, look, this con's up, so he needs to micro that, get those building again. Can he deal with these 2 grunts efficiently? I think he can. He got that 2 versus 1, 2 versus 1, gets a nice snipe there on 2 grunts, and that forces Andy to pull back. I spoke too soon. The commander is right there with an LLT, so that is how Andy likes to expand on this map. Did this grunt sneak through? Not quite. Okay. So we're approaching 5 minutes. I didn't want to move past that. And here comes that third resbot. It's going to pick up these couple of grunts and then perhaps move into some kind of energy reclaiming. And now finally we see this con turret comes up. Autopilot's going to assist that and move a third con out to cap some maxes. Oh, that's cute. I actually really like this. So there's a lot of things going on. So he actually just clicked out here to get the con moving, and then he'll go and add that, add those build cues, or instructions rather, when he's done, like, you know, microing and making sure everything's buttoned up. Really nice play so far. Perhaps we can look at the statistics from both players after we watch Andy's perspective from the first 5 minutes and glean any kind of differences, right, or advantages rather. So first con turret's up. That means the 4th con is going to add on a wind farm underneath of this con turret. You really like to see that. This is one of the ways pros high level players scale their energy so efficiently, right? They just have it underneath that con turret so it can switch back and forth between assisting the factory and putting up these wind turbines. So if con's coming out, and then we still have that like 110, 110, 110 ratio. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, fifth con. Still no radar up over here, but not a big deal. We've had like units kind of pressuring over here. We had a grunt loss over there, so maybe he's got a few extra seconds to react. And to see that doing, he's like reinforcing this left side here to maybe prevent this con from being sniped. But let me just pause right here. Hey, Chronographer. Yeah, this is my secret streaming schedule early NA time. So, yeah, I'm glad you found us. And yeah, that's a little past 5 minutes. So that's all I wanted to look at this from Autopilot's perspective. Let's reload into the replay and watch Andy's open and see what differences we can find and perhaps who had an advantage. I did notice one straight away was Andy was expanding with his commander along the bottom right side of the map, whereas Autopilot just kind of stays on the lab assisting it, which, in my experience, I lean more towards staying on the commander, staying on the factory with the commander, just because of like the grunt numbers. You end up having a lot more army value, unless of course you're able to replace that. But then, like, say you make 3 cons to replace your commander's build power before you move out. Well, that just means these cons aren't going to be doing, the expanding like we saw in the previous game. So yeah, let's take a look. So I'm gonna skip this.
Battle started.
Turn on Andy's player view. Yeah, hey Michael, that's what we're doing right now, bud. Sorry you missed it. But we just did the first 5 minutes from Autopilot's perspective, and then we're gonna do first 5 minutes of the game from Andy's and see the differences. So stay tuned. So, 2 mechs into solar. Okay, already a big difference there. I thought he put this down earlier, but does he go 2 mechs factory? You can do that off of like solar 2 wins. Yeah, he does do that. That's interesting. From what I've seen, it's a little like you're automatically behind on metal production, but we'll follow up with the statistics menu at the end of this and see what that story actually tells. So, one nice thing is you get the build power up more quickly. And you don't have to make grunts as early. So he could go 2 cons first. Yeah, he goes Resbot con, single grunt, 2 cons, right? So a little more greedy on the cons. And that's just a function that his factory's up earlier, right? So you just get those out faster. You don't have to worry about any kind of early attack. I wonder what Andy's thoughts are about whether or not he thinks Autopilot opens arm at all, right? Because that's something that can really it can throw a wrench in like how you have to open and play against players who favor more like 1 mech 6 opens, which they just get across the map so quickly. Oh, this is a bit of a blunder, a bit of AFK commander, kind of wasting build power there. Fortunately, he didn't access any E, so not the end of the world. So his first con comes out, caps the mechs, similar radar position, and then of course naked expanding, but except we move into exploiters after those 5 mexes, so a little bit of a difference there. Commander is going to add on some more energy as well. Second con is going to assist the lab, and that's a 3rd con. Wow, so what was this? It was Resbot, con, grunt, 2 cons. Okay. And then 5 grunts. I wonder, I'd be curious to know if he puts that in repeat. I see Chronographer in the chat saying map does feel like a long distance for the X Factor walk. Yeah, it is, and I think what he's referring to is just like the X Factor build is you want to get on 9 mexes as quickly as possible. So like there's the 3. You might see like a commander walk to here and then back to the lab. And then the first con maybe like comes out here and then grabs these 2 mexes, right? So a little bit farther, more spread apart than other maps. I think I've literally seen X Factor do that build on this map, and he did a 2 mex vehicle spawn here, walked over to these 3 mexes, put an LT right there, came back, and then the first con came here. Sorry, this is really detailed. Put the radar there, capped this Mex, and then went over here. Yeah, and that's how you do it. So I should do a video on that build just because it's so strong and it works on a lot of different maps, right? So bit of an all-in gambit in some regards, but and look at this, kind of perfect. You leave the factory with one con assisting it, of course, but you have a little bit of metal still left in the bank, and that just makes sure you don't stall. See how we're at like -8 to +6. So, and let's end up seeing what this con does. So yeah, there we go. 1 con, 5 grunts on repeat out of the factory. 2 cons are assisting the lab, and this was really lucky. The first grunt just picks up that con for free. So I see Ivan. Hey, how you doing? Oh, appreciate that comment. Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you. So this is cool. I like this. So you have 2 cons assisting the lab. So it didn't quite replace the build power fully, but we, of course, have this commander over here expanding, which is just a lot of build power. He protects himself. Of course, you're not going to lose that, like... this is so cute. He just, like, sits here for a second. That grunt ran past it over here, and then he just like picks up the con for free, and that's kind of hilarious. Good luck, you know. I mean, sometimes luck happens, right? So 3 minutes, 10 seconds. What is that? 4th con just came off the line, and then a 5th con. He must have inserted that into the queue. Yeah. So 3 cons finally. Hey, Andy. Hey, if you have time, man, feel free to jump on if you want to look at the next couple of games. These are the qualifier games, right? So just doing like first 5 minutes of X-Fact or autopilot's open, and then 5 minutes of your open, and just kind of looking at the differences. So if you want to jump on, come on. So 5th con comes out, that's going to be expanding. 4th con adding on wind turbines. Very similar as far as like the order of what cons are expanding. It's just we don't have that early con turret as we saw from autopilot. So of course, these expansions are a little quicker. We had to add on a solar collector here, perhaps to fix our E. Didn't quite catch what wind was doing at that time, and then have that nice little radar positioning there. A couple things going on at the moment. Got 3 attacks left, right, and on the top side, so maybe that kind of is why Andy lost that single grunt over here. But look at these 2 LOT positions. One thing these high-level players are so good at doing is just putting these in the right spot, right, to defend themselves. Maybe there's like a little bit of an opening here. Does this radar cover that? No. So you maybe want to get a radar up here to just see units that are coming in through here, so you can position your grunts as to not lose any of these. Oh, I feel it. Okay. So keeping it close to the vest. So maybe you owe me one. Maybe after the fact, you can come on. We can look at we'll look at one of your series. We can review that together. That'd be fun. So yeah, and this is, you know, I kind of like this. I'm not sure if I'm reading into this right, but say the commander's on this side, right, and that obviously protects itself. That means the units out of the factory only really have to come left and right here to protect these 2 expanding cons, right? So perhaps that's something I might have not quite explicitly thought about. And then hey, here comes that forward raider that we were needing to get good intel or vision to protect these mexes here in the middle. So it's interesting. We're getting close to 5 minutes. So we had another con come up, still on that 1 con, 5 grunts on repeat. And this is really the name of the game. I've covered this a lot in the Bar Academy. Cover this a lot in the Bar Academy, right? And these early moments of 1v1s, really the name of the game is just getting up radars, get like 2-3 expanding cons, and then just protect them with radars and grunts, right? Easy lighter on the LLTs. Notice like both players were like naked expanding to these 4 mexes here. I believe autopilot we just had the one LLT over there. I have it under good authority, yeah. Andy does have a secret hover start. I'm sorry, I'm just reading off the looking at the little bit of banter going on in the chat. Yeah, so that's closing in on 5 minutes, and I actually like this. He's got these plateau, or this bottom half of the map already capped. That's just a function that, you know, the commander's got such good build power, right? You can just easily cap these mexes. And notice once again the positioning of this LLT. I think he's got that queued up, right? Oh, let's see if he makes it. There it is, yeah. So this is a great LLT. Like maybe a unit can like sneak over there. I don't know. Let's check it out. I have to put it on. Let me just look this up. Sorry. Keys, grid, alt keys. I don't know how to look at the terrain traversability on grid, so I'm just going to put it on legacy because I know what the key is for that. It's F2. Yeah, so they can't move down there. Get around here. It's close. I don't think you can actually traverse that with a grunt. So yeah, that is a pretty good LLT positioning there. And notice how it also like goes up to this this terrain as well. So units, this is really what you got to protect against. It's actually kind of triggering when units use this little like sneaky ledge to come and attack your backline. So yeah, so that's it. We're 5 minutes into the game. Let me turn this off. Go back to grid. Off this blasphemous legacy style, and F6. Thank you, chronographer. Appreciate that. So yeah, click on a unit F6 right on. Why did I not see that? Grid keys. Okay, unit pathing. I wasn't on the right menu. Thanks for that. Okay, so there we are. Let's turn this off. Look at the statistics, as I said. So 51 to 40K, a little bit more energy excess here. So that's kind of maybe something you want to button up. But Andy is up on metal, so, and not by a trivial amount, like 300. Hey, that's like 10 grunts, right? So is that reflected in the army value? Dead even army value, right? 1% deviation. So, but there is a decent amount of metal income difference. Okay, so that is something to note. That's interesting. Okay, and then yeah, these cons. Finally, we move a 5th con out to expand. I wonder if that just starts assisting this con, but we have the 3 cons assisting the lab, 1 con scaling E, and that's just a little bit different than autopilot. So, maybe Andy's build is a little bit superior, I'd have to say. I couldn't find any value with any harassment anywhere. It's kind of unfortunate. I know I think earlier when we were looking at autopilot, he had committed, I think 5 grunts to this left side earlier. Just kind of unlucky perhaps that he ran to this side with the commander. So maybe if he ran this side, he might have gotten more value. But of course the radar is here to protect it. So that being that, I know some of y'all like to see the whole game's played out, but we've got a decent amount of replays to review. So let's look into the second game. Played on Mariposa Island. So I played... Hey, Raul. Nice to see you here. Thanks for joining us. I think your profile picture looks familiar. I think I've seen you comment perhaps, but yeah, nice to have you here. So we're going into game 2, same as before. We're going to look at the first 5 minutes from both players' perspective. Hey, Baka. Thanks for joining us. Nice to see you here. Hope I'm saying your name right. So I played autopilot in the qualifier on this map, and I ended up stealing his build. I'd be curious to know if he uses the same build versus me, or if he had changed it based off his opponent, and that help maybe give us some insight into whether or not he is adjusting his open based off of the player he's playing, which I'm assuming he does. So let's take a look. I'm going to roll the dice, and we're going to look at autopilot first. There we go. So
battle started.
Take a look at this player view. Oh, let me introduce the map for those of you who haven't played it. This is Mariposa Island. Once again, another like small team. I think you can actually play 8v8s on this map. Let me look at what the author says. 8v8 hybrid map. Okay, so that's how we do it in the VAR Pro League. I like this map. It's cool. There's a little bit of energy reclaim, a metal reclaim, which I think puts a bit of skill in. Like not skill. It's maybe it is. It's like you have to balance your economy off of not just the energy and metal available to you, but the energy, metal, and the reclaim, right? So there is a bit of a added skill there, utilizing the resources on the map more efficiently than your opponent. So I like that. It's a hybrid map, which, of course, we get to see all 3 theaters in the game, land, sea, and air, if it comes to that. And there's metal in the water to fight over. And of course, we have this interesting terrain. Like there's the plateau in the middle you want to contest over, but then there is these travel lanes on the low ground left and right side that you can navigate. So wide open map, lots of traversability, lots of different levels and I think it's a cool map. I'd like to see more games. Hopefully we see some epic macro games on this map later on in the tournament. So that being said, out of the way, start watching this replay. So 12 wind speed map. As core, I think you want to like maybe start thinking about maybe more of like a solar, advanced solar based economy, but correct me if I'm wrong if you have your own insights on what wind speed you would switch off of, like scaling E via wind versus solar. But I think 12 is like right around the cutoff, right? So that's what our man Autopilot's going to do. 3 max, 2 solar open into bot lab. Kind of perfect there. And not perfect in the sense, but it's like, yeah, you'll never stall making the factory. That's kind of what I'm trying to say. So let's look at this build queue. 2 resbots con, resbot, 2 grunts con. Okay, so he adjusted that a little bit for my game. A few less resbots or early resbots and more early grunts. So maybe he's thinking Andy might play arm, so he's just throwing out a couple early guns to protect himself. That's interesting, Chronographer. So he's just commenting that early resbots promote aggression from your opponents just because they're easy targets to snipe. It's interesting. I would maybe add to that only really works if like you're playing arm, because like they have tick that can actually get across the map. Grunts are just so slow at getting across the map. With like a radar and of course the production from the factory, it's like, oh, I only have to move this far to protect my units, whereas my opponent has to move all this distance, right? So it just buys you a lot of time to play greedier and then move into the unit. So 2 resbots first, then con, 3rd resbot, geez Louise. And this is something I noticed him do. So check this out. He first 2 resbots come out and start getting E, but as soon as he's like kind of fixed it, right, and starts stalling metal, he then uses these resbots to start grabbing this metal. And something I learned the other day, I actually think it was Chronographer, but if you draw a circle over one thing, it's hard to do when you're zoomed out. Maybe he does something like this. I start drawing the circle on the rock. I'm only going to get the rocks with the resbot. So just something to throw out there. I was manually clicking and reclaiming those. Okay, Michael, I see that. Saying if the average wind speed is greater than 7, then windmills are likely better than solars. That's technically true until wind is at 0 for like 2 minutes and you lose. Or, your opponent attacks you, like all in attacks you, and wind just suddenly crashes and then you lose. So although, yes, technically on paper, wind turbines might be better than solars at above 7 wind speed. It does have its risks. So, as I was saying, this resbot is going to come in here, fix our metal issues. 3rd resbot's going to come, and I think he uses that to just grab energy. Yep. And look at this. Oh, we add on a couple of wind turbines here. That's interesting. But yeah, energy is cooking right now, so we're just going to move back into assisting the lab. Got 2nd con coming out. 3 more grunts, or resbot, 2 cons, and then 100 grunts. Okay. I should have done a better job of keeping track and writing that down, but so far, I mean, 3 resbots, 2 grunts, 2 cons. That's fairly greedy, I'd say. And then the radar is up, of course, right? So this just lends itself to, like, I mean, look, you can see everything from pretty much shore to shore, and this is kind of pretty far rush distance to kind of sneak units behind where your opponent can't see. It's a right click and drag the rocks. You don't have to E. Okay. So here we are. We're finally out of metal. You might see him add another resbot to grabbing metal. I think that's what's happening here. Yeah, this one's going over here to grab those. And that will fix those issues. So, I mean, that's just the beauty of this build. You can get these solars up to fix your E, and then the commander stays on. Jeez, and a 5th resbot coming out. That's kind of wild. Green is E. That's right. So 3 cons expanding. Looks like he's just going to cap this mechs with this 1 con and come back. I'm thinking he'll get a radar up, or not a radar, a con turret soon enough. But this is the name of the game, right? Radar's up, multiple cons expanding. You protect them with grunts. The big difference here, of course, is that the res bots are doing their thing, right? So we see that grunt on the radar. I'm assuming that's a grunt just based off the movement speed. Pilot doesn't really even need to react. That resbot tanking shots for the grunts. It's beautiful. And yeah, really cool to see. Is he going to get this contoured up? Yeah, there it goes. So 400 metal in the bank, full E-bar. It's kind of like a slam dunk. And oh, this is cute. Hey, Zlo, nice to see you there. He says, so he can get resbots faster and get the reclaim. Yeah. I mean, it's just like so much resources. It's 60 E per second, which is like pretty much an advanced solar. But what I was going to say is like you can just lay the blueprint for the construction turret down, assist it with the commander. He comes back on the lab, and then immediately you're just moving to expand with this con. And we see he's just coming back here, capping these mexes. I'm assuming he'll add like a wind farm over there. So something I'd be curious to know is when these players add on their vehicle lab or like a shipyard, which I don't think they'll be doing that too quickly. So it's like, unfortunately, again, autopilot just randomly running his grunts into the commander path. Not ideal, but it happens. Looks like we won the little grunt trade there. And yeah, there we go. So we have some metal in the bank. That's gonna, I guess, you know, let him, autopilot that is, add on some more solars. You really want to be more solar favored here, and then immediately moves into a second con turret and starts scaling wind with that fifth con. So we're closing in on 5 minutes. Let's take a look. Is this build order change? No, we're getting our last con out, and then we just have grunts on repeat. So I'm assuming any subsequent cons he would just insert into the queue, or like resbots, whatever he needs. He'll just come back and assist that. And then immediately into the third con turret, right? Hear a little bit of battle going on there. Ooh, looks like we caught a engineer there. Pretty cool to see. Kind of lucky. And then, yeah, using the commander's build power to add on solars while we have, like, you know, a lot of metal in the bank. Of course, like, not a great wind speed map, so using that big commander's juicy build power to fix our E issues. Another con comes out. It's going to just assist this expanding con. So, yeah, there we are. 5 minutes. Let's pause. So, what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4 expanding cons. Maybe like 3.5. This one doesn't really expand too much. Starts adding on wins after capping those 4 mexes. But, yeah, 3 con turrets are finished. Not too much excess. Way under 10%, right? Good to see. And, yeah, that's a pretty solid open. I like this. Really greedy on the resbots. I wonder if Andy did something similar, and then it'd be just nice to compare these. So that's what we're going to do. Take a look at this game from Andy's perspective. So I know we've posted in the BPL Discord a predictions Google form link. I just want to thank X Factor for putting that together. He was the one who kind of coded that up and put all the names in there, so thanks for that. If you haven't made a prediction, go to the Bar Pro League Discord. Maybe I can put a comment in the put a comment on this video and link that to you all that way. So it should be floating around. I'd be curious to know what y'all think, what you think the predictions would be, and just cool to see what other players' interpretations of the bracket looks like, who they think's going to advance, so on and so forth. So yeah, check it out.
Battle started.
So we're going to skip that little intro. We'll load into Andy's perspective here. Take a look and see. So I'm assuming it's going to be a similar build. That's really fascinating, that last game on Tundra, that 2mex bot lab open, and ended up being up on metal after 5 minutes. So just cool to see. Of course, we're just going to do 3mex. 3mex, solar, interesting little wall he's got going on here. I guess he's not going to be moving that way with the commander. I always like leaving paths around my buildings, right? And I can put like maybe 2 solars there, or 2 solars there, so you can like move around. But it's not the biggest deal. And then of course we go factory into 3 more wind turbines. And then what is this? 2 resbots con. Okay. Fairly greedy. Similar to autopilot. finish that coffee. No. Wish I had like a little pot next to my desk. I could just pour myself a fresh cup. So ended up not making those 2 extra wind turbines in favor of the 3rd solar. So just a function of the wind speed. Just kind of thought better of it. Gonna take a little bit of a walk forward here. I guess that's to buy a little bit of space where his commander was to add on some wind turbines. And now that this first resbot is out, getting that, what's that, 60 E per second. It's kind of insane. He's free to sit and assist his lab with the commander, and that's gonna get his second resbot out, which I guess he's gonna be reclaiming this reclaiming energy as well. Just immediately into a con turret. Okay. And like I was saying, right, 200 E per second, full E bar. Just so you can just blast up this con turret with your commander's build power. And I'm assuming we'll see the same kind of expansion. So already we see a difference. Then the radar immediately comes up after that. Unfortunate for Andy. Unfortunate that I guess this was blocking that for a moment, but not the end of the world. Naked expand. Exploiter, radar, okay. And a big difference here I'm seeing is like just less resbots, more cons. Like finally the first grunt comes out. So what was that? Two resbots, 2 cons grunt. And is this on repeat? Yeah, so we have two grunts, 1 con on repeat. Classic. I think I've only ever really seen Andy go below 3 grunts, con on repeat. Like I was saying though, like you're fixing your metal issues though by having this commander expanding, right? So we already capped these additional 3 mexes at 2nd radar. Just classic Andy. C-star OP. Okay, great. Get out of here. Yes, okay. So thank you for clarifying, Andy. So he was saying that he didn't block unintentionally. He intentionally did that to focus energy into the con turret as to put that up. So just a little nuance these high level players get into to optimize their builds. Looks like 3rd con comes out. It's going to start a solar here. And a 2nd con turret. And then like a little solar farm here. Interesting. So I guess that is technically like the 4th con scaling E, which I've noticed the pattern. A lot of players do that. Just 4th con scales E. Assuming that the commander is acting on a con. And then more solars coming out. Okay. With this 5th con. So 2 cons expanding E. Man, this commander is just so good at expanding. That's ridiculous. 2 grunts on the left and right side seeing the attack path. And it's really nice to just know where the units are at. These radars are so good on this map, right? So you can really get your units in the right position here. Do you scoot over that way? Yeah, he did micro that way. So I'm assuming he wanted to kind of beeline to these 3 mexes, but ended up getting those 2 grunts. And look at these 2 LOTs. I noticed Andy did this same kind of LOT position on this side, but how do I say this? Yeah, this guards the shore, right? This one guards in between them. So you have this nice little line that would be forcing grunts around that into your radar range. So nice little sim city to protect yourself. So I just wanted to point that out. Are we still on 2-1? Yeah. Really greedy on the build power, but that's really what you want. And 33 metal per second there. So like I was saying, I know we have been stopping this at 5. I just want to see when these players choose to put down their vehicle lab or like air lab or sea lab. So we'll have to take a look. Looks like that 2nd solar farm was turned into wind turbines. Okay. And fortunate, unfortunate. How did this one go down actually? That is interesting. Wow, those radar dots didn't show up to like the... That's weird actually. I mean, they're like right in radar range. Huh. That's interesting. Okay. Okay, so this other cons coming out. It's gonna grab naked expand, not naked expand, but just like naked mechs here, and then move into exploiters. So just something to note. Like there's just a ring, anything past that line, or this line, he's making exploiters. So getting really close to 5 minutes here. These units are going to come down, protect. Nice how this exploiter is kind of shooing this away. Although there is a nice little attack path to kind of come between this. It's something you got to watch out for on this map is, I mean, these shorelines are naked to radars. Radar not complete. What do you mean, Andy? I'm not sure what that means. It wasn't finished yet. Okay. Makes sense. That's what you meant. Okay. I didn't notice that. I just saw the radar up. All right, right on. So, hey, here we are at 5 minutes. So we'll pause here, take off the camera, look at the statistics. Once again, Andy, you're up on metal about 700. That's quite the differential. Behind on energy with a little less excess. So maybe a little closer than we think. Not the end of the world. Less res bots, right? That's interesting, chronographer. He's saying that the green radar overlay is not 100% accurate and uses a different render system to the actual radar mechanic. Okay. We're still building. Right on. So that's that. It looks like we have more expanding cons, right? 1, 2. We just lost one, so that was 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so autopilot's up on one con, but I mean, I just like this commander positioning. Like you're gonna be, where's the follow-up, right? I just want to like zoom through this and actually see where he ends up going with this commander. But and as like continuing to block off this with LLTs, you know, you really can't directly attack into it. I wouldn't be surprised if he moves into mid like this with the commander. Just want to zip through this. Okay, and then I missed this, but vehicle lab is just about nearly finished. Let's call that like 6:30 or 6:20 maybe. Put down that vehicle lab, and we see something similar. Autopilots is already finished and went to construction vehicles first. That's interesting. Oh, there we go. I just spotted it. We have the one muskrat out. One muskrat out that is going to be coming and capping these water mexes. Yeah, aircraft cons are really strong, and I see Zlo, you're saying up on one con, but that one was super late, so it doesn't really count. Yeah, that's true. It's just to kind of it was trailing behind the other units. So let me clear this drawings off the screen. I'm just glad to see I'm not the only one who like double clicks things. It's just, yeah, something that happens to me a lot. Look at this radar positioning. Edge building this radar on the high ground. That is so cool. I'd like to see that. And then, oh, then the commander moves into the short. Okay, so around like, you know, 720, somewhere in there. 730. We add that shipyard. So past where I wanted to analyze this replay, but of course you can look at this yourself. These videos should be on the server. If not, DM me. I'll try and get them to you. That's that. So I wanted to give this advantage to Andy here. I think I like his open slightly more. It looks like autopilot is up on the plateau more quickly, but see the deviations are starting to come into play, right? Both players went into second vehicle lab, but we see Andy a little quicker into the water. But autopilot has 2 muskrats expanding, so really cool to see. I like doing that myself off of this vehicle lab. You just get those muskrats out as early as you can and into the water, naked expanding, right? Because it just takes so long to get units into the water to respond. So it's kind of cheeky. Little mechs right there. So that's that. Let's move into the third replay. Hades Pond. That's one of my favorite maps, actually. Been seeing a lot more aircraft cons actually expanding to those like peripheral mexes and whatnot. So something higher level players I think have been incorporating into their play. Actually, I think I remember watching this game. If I remember correctly, Andy, you were using like this like four aircraft cons to put up exploders like all on like all of these mechs even made exploders somehow when it was like autopilot here, Andy here. So kind of sneaky play there. I wonder if that was that map or if that was a different match I'm thinking of. So. Oh, hey, Blue Deer. Should watch you versus Otto yesterday. There's some good matches. I'll have to check those out. If you can let me know what maps those are on, I can definitely look into those. Definitely love watching you guys' games. Okay, so I'm flipping a dice, and it's autopilot again. Wow. So let's watch him first.
Battle started.
And take a look at these opens. Same as before. We're just going to look at the first 5 minutes, take a look at the differences we see, maybe any little nuances, and compare the opens afterwards. But before that, let's introduce the map for those of you who don't know it. This is Hades Pond, another map with a little bit of reclaim on it, which I think lends itself to a little more technical, right? And a 4v4 versus 8v8, right? We're going to do a 1v1 classic. Yeah. One thing to note on this map is just the tidal speed is 15, and you see players will start here next to this area so they can actually put titles in those ponds. I wouldn't be surprised if both players end up putting like a little con turret right here on the water. I've seen Andy do this specifically. Puts the con turret right there and then just like makes a ton of title with this commander. Just doesn't even care to have it on the battlefield somewhere. So I see that. Yeah, Tundra's Haiti. Thanks, Blue Deer. I'll have to look those up and take a look at those. So let's go into the player view here. 14 wind speed map. So beautiful little open right there. This is like kind of technical where you don't finish the third mechs, start the solar, let the E pull back up so you don't stall E, but really standard open. This is super solid. 3 mechs, 2 solars into bot lab. Let's take a look at that build queue. Interesting, neither player chose to go armed, so what is this? Resbot, 3 cons and 2 grunts. 2 cons, grunts, con 15. Okay, not sure if that's exact, but pretty greedy. What is that? 5 cons off of 10 grunts. Okay. And wind was really high, so that's just going to let him get away with making a couple of wind turbines here. You can definitely do both. 14 is where, like, yeah, you can scale E with core. I'd be curious to know what you all think. Like Zlo, Blue Deer, Andy, if you're always still in here. What wind speed would you, as core, would you like not scale energy with wind? And would you just more base it off of like solar, asolar? So I'm curious to know what your all's thoughts are. So first Resbot's going to come down here. That's another reason why I kind of like this spawn is the closest crystals to you are the farthest away from your opponent, right? So that kind of protects the Resbot. It's kind of, not by proxy, indirectly protects it, perhaps is a better way of saying it. So maybe a little bit of a blunder here, a little too much E in the bank. I think I would have liked to see him start assisting this earlier, but not the biggest deal. Going for this really greedy radar on the hill. I've had this sniped so many times by Alt F4. It's like I don't even try getting that radar up there versus him. He'll just snipe it every time with a tick. Yeah, and then just, moving back into E production here. Still over 50%, so he might actually end up accessing here. A little bit of a blunder, perhaps. Not the end of the world, though. He's about to get this radar up, takes a lot. And then, of course, assisting the lab takes a lot of energy as well. But yeah, so 1 con. Back capping these mechs is interesting. Second con comes out. And notice how these... wind speed has nothing to do with it. Andy, if you want to elaborate anytime, let me know. Notice how these first 2 cons are expanding behind your sub, which once again kind of plays into defending them by proxy. It's just like the farthest possible rush distance for your opponent to grab those mexes, or to grab those expanding cons. Say if we had chose to expand like this way and this way with our 2 initial cons, like you're just moving closer to your opponent. So cool to see. So third con. I missed this one, sorry, but kind of doing the same thing. So 3 cons expanding immediately. 2 grunts into, Jesus is greedy, to the 4th con. And then grunts. Wow, this is crazy. Okay, so I'm going to pause here and just read what Andy has to say, or Islo has to say. If average wind speed is below 8, I'd probably not really bother with wind unless it's a low econ map. Maybe. Okay, that's fair. Just like the amount of mechs is a consideration. Perhaps that's what you were alluding to, Andy, when you said wind speed has nothing to do with it. Be curious to know what you think about that. And now we're out of starting metal. Do you end up reclaiming one of these solars? I mean, we have the resbot out and we have full E, but maybe not quite. What does the factory take, actually? So it's 0.8 per tick to make a grunt, and then the commander is drawing 8.4. So about 9 energy per second for making grunts out of the factory, assisted by the commander. So, and then, of course, cons making mexes take about 2. Looks like 2. And same thing's going on, right? We're just like moving our grunts to protect these expanding cons, right? Okay, you're just joking. Okay. All right, so 5th con is coming up. We end up seeing like some scaling wind action here. What's gonna go down? Yeah, his 4 cons expanding. Yeah, I see. So it seems to be like it's a function of wind speed and the available metal. So like maybe on a map like say Greenhaven, which has a lower average wind speed, but the mexes are fewer and farther apart, lends itself to. I think it's more of a wind map, but I've seen high level players do both, so not totally sold on it. Perhaps that's just a topic for a video in and of itself, right? But here we go. 5th con starts the first con turret at 3 minutes and 55 seconds, somewhere around there. We need to fix our E issues, right? Just barely stalling. And of course, we're going to stop with this, have a little bit of a lull in the energy production just because the resbot has to move for a moment. It is kind of a feel thing, right? It's different for core and arm, but I want to say like below 12, maybe you want to start thinking about like balancing it with solars as core. But like I said, that's just a topic for another day. And this is so greedy. I don't even see like a follow-up radar. I think like this forward con could have very well like made a forward radar there, but forward con's expanding is fairly greedy. See this grunt over here? I remember seeing this. Cute little micro there on the mechs. Approaching 5 minutes here. I haven't seen the commander move into the water yet. I think at the end of the video we'll double check to see when they put down their vehicle labs. See some skirmishes on the minimap. Don't really care to see that. And then geez, like how many cons is that? 7 cons, 5 minutes into the game. It's wild. Interesting. Okay. So pretty greedy open, not gonna lie. That was wild. Like 3 cons just straight away after the resbot. But I mean, that's what it takes. That's how these players do it. I mean, he's 58 OS for a reason. And I kind of like it. I mean, this is what I was saying in that Bar Academy video. It's like you play as greedy as possible until you start losing, right? And then you might want to dial it back. But I mean, if he's comfortable doing this, it just shows you like what you can get away with before your opponent can punish you. And even like think like, well, if you know your opponent's going core bots, they take so long to get across the map, right? They're so slow. Between like radars and the factory production, you can just kind of get in position when you need to be. Look at this. This is a great radar spot, by the way. So that's the 5 minutes. We've taken a look at autopilot's open. Let's reload into the game and see how Andy decided to do this. Or Andy, as Requiem calls him. So thanks for watching, guys. If you haven't liked the video yet, do that for me. Leave a comment as we load into this last Last analysis. I tried finding games this morning. I couldn't quite get any, so this is what we ended up settling on, doing replay reviews. So maybe next time. Like I was saying, Tuesday, Thursday, I might do these early morning streams. So stay tuned. Subscribe if you want to catch more of those, and then maybe Thursday evenings we'll do like the Bar Academy replay reviews, 1v1 reviews. So here we are. We're gonna skip this, go right into Andy's view, and take a look and see. Dude, where's your crown? On what? I don't see it. Thanks, Andy. Yeah, so very similar open. I'm sure a lot of you know this, but like if you do the 3-mech start, you'll start stalling E just barely. So you start the solar, you're not taking E, so you have a chance to produce a little more. You finish the 3rd mechs, and then you finish the first solar without stalling energy. So really clean open. Two wins going back up, so and then into the bot lab. So nice little open there. I like it. Not committing to solars. You just wind was good, so you ended up making the 2 wins, and then 3 wins after factory. This is just, I'd say, pretty standard. Use that commander's build power. I think you can almost finish a wind turbine before your factory even starts producing their first unit. Let's take a look. Yeah, I was like 60% done before that con even came online, so. With no walking, you want to build the solar around 25-30%, yeah. So 2 cons, 2 grunts, 2 cons, 5 grunts. I'm sure we'll see something like that on repeat soon. Andy gets those repeat queues up pretty quickly. And yeah, unlike autopilot, capping this way first, then this one second. Not a small deviation, not a big deal, really. But of course, yeah, just as far from your opponent, you're expanding first, so it kind of protects those units in and of itself. Radar is coming up. The Cortex tax, yeah, that's a good way of saying it. And like we're making the radar, so yeah, it makes sense to go solar here. Of course, the commander draws energy, producing wind turbines, so just don't want to stall. So not a big deal making a solar when we have max wind. MVP asks, this motivates, or he says, this helps motivate me to learn 1v1. Yeah, check it out. Come stop by Bar Academy if you want. But then adds, would autopilot play this greedy versus Alt F4? Yeah, that's a good question. I think he would tile it back. Zlo's saying he wouldn't do the Resbot rush versus him. I'm sure he would dial it back. I'm not sure exactly how much, but he wouldn't go like Resbot 3 grunts, right? That's just not what you want to do versus him. He goes like 1 max ticks like every day. So wins at 14 still. We didn't go Resbot. Oh, okay. That's interesting. So we're sitting right at about 200 E per second. And we're just barely, I don't think we can use up all the E because we're stalling on metal, right? So commander's going to finish up this con turret. 3rd con is going to come back here and start assisting. Hey, Volstrak, this is autopilot versus Andy from the BPL qualifier. I'm just taking a look at the opens from both players. I know, I think you and Chisato commentated on this or casted this. By the way, if you want to check out the cast of this, go to the Bar official on Twitch. You can watch their cast. I just wanted to look at their opens and see, kind of compare and contrast them. So look at this. This is beautiful. 3 cons expanding, con turret finishes, and then commander also moves out as well. So super cool start. Where's this commander going, actually? No queues just yet. But like I said, we've got this 1 con, 5 grunts on repeat already out of the factory. Okay, you're being cheeky, Volshock. Okay, okay. Yeah, this is total annihilation. I just have like a texture pack added onto it. Still stalling on metal. No, I'm not quite stalling, but perfectly balanced, one could say. Okay, so he grabs this forward mech, adds an LLT, really well placed between these two mountains. It's gonna force units around, and then moves into the water and starts making solars, or titles rather. Oh, ends up losing it, and then I missed that, but you see, first, second, third, fourth con comes and it starts assisting this con that's coming back here, capping these mexes. Zlow's asking, should commander be switched to low priority when you stall metal while making mexes? And or he's gonna make the mechs to the com, so probably not gonna bother switching priority back and forth. I don't know. I think it's better to like keep the priority on and just get the mechs up, right? Maybe while you're making the LLT, you could maybe turn him on lower priority, but I think where you're making mechs with the commander stalling metal, I don't think you want to go on low priority. I see what you're saying, Volshock, about the grunt span maps. I would prefer that the game be balanced or tweaked perhaps, such that it's like ARM is not easier to play, but it's more viable perhaps on this map. I mean, Alt F4 has got a pretty nice ARM style on this map, but it's just, I think most pros would agree you just don't play ARM in 1v1s on certain maps just because it's so difficult. But perhaps, yeah, another conversation for another video. What would ARM need to be viable versus Core on most maps, right? So we see the fifth con out expanding. Commanders just making titles in the water. I'd love to see this. This is so strong. There's really minimal commitment to the winds and solars when we have just like a better title option in the pool right here. So we see the grunt on radar. Interesting. He steps forward to add these dragon's teeth walls. And does a better job protecting itself. Oh, so Andy with a little prognostication here, saying you're going to see less grunt spam maps in these next 2 weekends. Okay. Dude, Greenhaven's my favorite map. I don't know. I love playing on that map. How is ARM not good on that map when you can't get radar coverage up, right? It's like you can sneak ticks everywhere and they're just like, yeah. And it's like a lower metal, lower eco map, so it makes sense like you just use the ticks, right? So, like Andy was saying, maybe we'll see more ARM usage here in the next couple of weekends. I wouldn't be surprised if that's true either. So, okay, so this is interesting. He makes some titles here and then moves down to start capping this area here. So that's 5 minutes. Let's take a look at the statistics. So once again, Andy's up about 400 metal there, 400 or 500 metal. Super even energy, even like Andy, you'd be better on balancing. So despite, how are you up on metal? I don't understand that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 expanding cons. The pilot moved down to 4, but that's because this fifth one just came back to start adding on wind. And then he's got another con out, making mexes and exploiters. That is interesting. Okay, yeah, so Volshock saying he's never seen a Greenhaven game without grunt spam. And Andy's commenting, yeah, Greenhaven hide and seek, you just can't get away from the grunt magic. So I mean, I'm not like totally disappointed with the meta just being like core versus core, just because like there is a lot of skill expression in microing and macroing still. But I do understand that it would be cool to see both play styles to be viable, right? Um, so that's that. Let's double check and see when they add on their view collabs. Oh, I see. Yeah, Zlo's saying Andy didn't make the resbot and went just straight cons, right? So that definitely got him con expanding quicker, like more quickly. But I mean, does that make like, is that 500 metal difference after 5 minutes, just having like slightly faster expanding first con? I guess every other con after that is quicker, but the magic is how he's ahead on metal. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, when did they add on their... I just specifically want to see when they add on their vehicle lab. So, of course, like, autopilot's staying in the main. Assisting the lab. Andy's commander, I see, is in the water right now. It's continuing to add on those titles. And look at this difference. Yeah, autopilot goes into asolar production here around 7 minutes into the game and then moves into the water to make titles. Okay, okay. For Contour, it's no vehicle lab just yet. Doing a really nice job balancing the eco though. No vehicle lab just yet. First energy storage comes up. Okay, you pause that for a moment. Okay, it's interesting. 8 minutes, still no vehicle lab. So I was playing with Thurksy yesterday on this map, and he was saying that it's like going Blade Wings on this map is a bit risky because it's so large. I was thinking that's what makes them strong, but yeah. Looks like 8 minutes, 50 seconds. We have the first vehicle lab going down, and then Andy's yours probably was a little bit before that. So interesting. Players were on. Jesus, 100 metal per second? Is that right? 64 and 89. Oh, it looks like about 70 metal per second. So really committed to the bots first before going into... Okay, and then immediately going into Air Lab as well. Okay, that's interesting. So that's about it, guys. We looked at all 3 matches from both players' perspective. So that's right about an hour. So that's kind of how long I like to cast for a stream for. But so if you like the games, let me know in the comment section. If you want to see the series, go to the Bar official Twitch. It should be in there somewhere in the BPL qualifiers. You can watch it. I think Volshock and Chisato casted it. So should be a good one to watch. But I just want to say thanks for watching, guys, and I appreciate the likes, the comments, chatting with you, reading your comments. Really fun to hang out. So see you guys again sometime soon, and have a good day. Have a good weekend. So see you.